South Africa against Italy, folks. 42 points to 24. I feel like that's a bit closer than expected. I have watched this much delayed this morning here in New Zealand. Got up with the sun. First thing I did was switch on this match. I didn't know the result. Apologies, it's a bit delayed. But yeah, Springboks up against Italy. Big first half from the Boks. But unbelievably, the Italians outscored the Boks in the second half and actually managed a maul try against South Africa. Italy, who I don't think got a single maul try in the entire Six Nations and conceded like 5 of the bloody things, managed to go down to South Africa and get a maul try. Not many teams get maul tries against South Africa. So there's a little bit of a moral victory in that, even if they've been beaten 42-24. For the Boks, though, I mean, the scrum was incredibly powerful. They had loads of possession. If they don't knock on as much ball, they probably score quite a few more points. But also, you've got to give a fair bit of credit to the Italian defenders. Their line speed, their work at the breakdown and just forcing knock-ons was pretty admirable, even if it was a losing shift. We'll go through some of the key events and the stats. You guys can let us know your thoughts on the game. There are a few empty seats. I wasn't aware of this until people mentioned in the comments in the preview video that apparently South African Rugby priced the game pretty highly. They join many other rugby unions in being one of those unions that would rather price the game highly and sell most of the tickets than price it slightly more reasonably and sell all of them. Certainly looks better on the camera when they are all sold, but there was still a very, very good crowd for the game. But obviously it would have been nice if they'd gotten a few more bums on the seats. And as I said, it ain't just South Africa that does that, sadly. But yeah, a few high balls early, few knock-ons, and South Africa just dominating at scrum time. Like, they kept knocking it on and losing possession, but it didn't matter. Like, with one of the scrums, they literally just shoved the Italian pack straight off the ball. Possession regained for South Africa after a knock-on. Took 10 minutes to get the first score. Jesse Creel from a little dink through from DLND. That was a nice little midfield combination from them. Those guys know each other very well, and they combined well. Jesse Creel was only just onside, but they TMO'd it and they cleared it, so 7 points to 0. And the best highlight of the first 20 for the Italians is probably like Zuliani win a penalty at the breakdown. Or was it a straight pilfer like the line speed? It was just looking solid enough. Like other teams, I feel like have already conceded more points than 7. They did concede more points though. Big South African scrum 5 meters out after Lorenzo Canone had given a cynical penalty away after a load of South African phases. 5 meter scrum for the Boks. Morne van der Berg is able to just dot it down with that pack going forward. 14 points to 0. But the South Africans conceded the next points. Italy took a penalty, 14-0 down. And I'll admit, I apologize to Italian fans for this one. I thought that shot at a penalty was very much a let's just not get nilled penalty. Because at 14-0 down, I don't think you're going to win that game against the South Africans by taking threes. So it felt like a damage minimization penalty. But again, the second half performance from the Italians, they got within not quite touching distance, but they got close enough to make it like the thought kind of crossed your mind for a short time anyway. 14 points to 3 though. At least the Italians were on the board. But I mean, they conceded another one when they kicked it out on the full. Eben was trying to put all kinds of pressure on the box kicks for the Italians. He was getting them timing wrong a few times after he got the first one right. But he probably caused Fusco to kick it out on the full. But the ref still let the South Africans have the line out. And yeah, Chituka took the line out. Curtly Arnsa, sublime footwork from him. Straight through the Italian defenders. Multiple missed tackles. 21-3. More South African pressure before halftime. Again, it's a 5 meter scrum. And Morne van der Berg snipes. So he gets 2 tries in this game. 28-3 going into the sheds. The Italians didn't do themselves any favours by missing touch with one of their few chances before halftime. So it is a very comfortable lead for the Boks. As I said, their scrum is all dominant. They have had the lion's share of the possession. They are looking very, very comfortable. The Italians have not looked like scoring a try. Second half, it looks like the Boks have got another one with Willemse with his footwork setting up. Chituka out on the left wing, but they TMO that one for obstruction. So it is a disallowed try for the Boks. And then the Italians, on the back of a couple of South African penalties, actually managed to get their first try. Zuliani managed to burrow over from close range. Like, the forwards weren't letting the backs have that after they got within a few meters of the Bok line, and they had tried to maul it from the initial line out. Like, brave of them to do that. I thought that was like brave but foolish, but it wasn't foolish later on because they did get a more try. But anyway, Zuliani burrowed over. He's a good player, Zuliani. He would have more starts for Italy if he didn't play in the same position as the captain. I feel like, and I've said it before, he's a better player than Michele Lamaro, the regular captain, but Lamaro is like the leader who makes the higher tackle count, whereas Zuliani's a breakdown merchant, a bit more effective on the ball carrier and whatnot. But yeah, got to try. So 10 points on the board for the Italians. Well, the bad news was they lost their number 8, Lorenzo Canoni, to injury. He had to go off on a stretcher, so fairly long stoppage for that one. But yeah, game probably devolved a little bit scrappy. I don't think the South Africa coaching staff on review will be too happy with the period of play where it was just like knock-ons and lost lineouts. They were winning scrum penalties, but yeah, it did get a little bit scrappy. But they did get their first try of the second half. Took 56 minutes, but Vincent Koch was able to power over again from close range. So that was at least regular service resumed. It just took almost 20 minutes in the second half, which was just, I guess, slightly unusual. But 35-10, and then the Italians actually have a wee bit of a comeback. It looked like Simone Jesse had gone over in the corner. He should have scored that one, but Kurtley Arendse with a pretty amazing try-saving tackle. Like last week it was Colby, this week it was the Kurtley Arendse show, wasn't it? But yeah, he should have scored it. But yeah, Kurtley Arendse. It was probably the best-looking attacking play from the Italians, actually causing the Bok defensive line some issues. But try-saver, but didn't take them long later. They got a 50-22. Like Dale Ende with a bit of a nothing kick. Gets a return with interest from the Italian. 50-22. And then, oh my God, they mauled it against the Boks from pretty decent distance as well. And they mauled it over. Dimchev, the replacement hooker, I think it was his debut. He goes over for a try from a maul against South Africa for Italy. Very, very impressive. 35-17. And then a few minutes later, Nicolo Canone is able to go over when the Boks lose the ball at the ruck in their own 22. It's a bit of a quick, opportunistic try, but Nicolo Canone goes over for that one. So 35-24. Like I said, that's not quite a worry if you're a South African fan at that point. But it's a big difference between 35-24 and the 28-3 we had at halftime. So, yeah, impressive for the Italians, although that was their final scoring. The Boks would have the final say when they got another one from close range Van Staden. The build-up play would be nice in that one, shifting it left, shifting it right. The Boks, no knock-ons this time. And, yeah, 42-24 when Van Staden went over. Isiko also got himself yellow carded for not being back 10 in the build-up to that one. So second half's 21-14 to the Italians, which is kind of unexpected, but credit to them for actually keeping on playing, man. And the Boks, the coaching staff's pretty harsh. They will review that one with interest for next week. They still dominated possession, 58%, territory, 53%. Line breaks is only 4-1, which is kind of low in the scheme of things, but if there's one number that I think the South African coaches will not be pleased with, like turnovers conceded, is 17-6. 17. Way too much coughed up ball. Turnovers won also 5-2 to the Italians. They were good defensively. We do have to give them some big credit for that. Like they made 186 tackles to 131. So they were called on to do a lot of defending in this game. Zuliani, 2 turnovers, 21 tackles, and a try. One of the players of the match, Willems had a whole heap of carries, 120 meters, 8 defenders beaten. Kurtley Arendse, he took his try well and, had a couple of line breaks. Of the 4 South African line breaks, Arendse was 2 of them. Morne van der Berg looked to be pulling the strings well at 9. Scored a couple of the tries. But yeah, 42-24. Closer than I think many were expecting, especially seeing as the Italians, as I mentioned, they didn't have Paolo Garbisi, didn't have their usual captain. Michele Lamaro didn't have, Riccioni got injured last week and whatnot. So, yeah, it's an interesting one. You guys let us know your thoughts on the game. I'm off to watch other games that I missed overnight here in NZ. But you guys take care. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.